The night was cold. The streets of the alien city were almost empty. Tall towers of steel and glass stood like shadows against the red sky. The air smelled of smoke and fear. Broken lights flickered on the walls, and far away, the sound of sirens moved through the darkness. On one corner of the city, a small figure walked slowly. It was a child. His clothes were torn, his eyes red from crying. His skin had a strange silver tone, and his hair was thin like soft wires. He was not human. He was one of the alien people who lived here long before humans came. The child stopped near a doorway. His hands shook as he knocked. At first, no one opened. He waited, breathing fast, afraid someone else would find him first. Then, the door moved and a tall figure stepped out. It was a human. The human wore dark armor with lights blinking on his shoulder plate. His face was tired, his eyes sharp, but not cruel. He looked down at the child, and for a moment, said nothing. The child's voice was small, almost broken. "Can I please stay with you? My mother died today." The words hung heavy in the air. The human froze. He had heard many cries for help during the war, but this one was different. This was not a soldier begging for mercy. This was not an enemy trying to trick him. This was a child, shivering, alone, and desperate. The human's hand tightened on the door. He looked down the street, checking if anyone was watching. The patrols were near. He could hear the heavy sound of boots on metal ground echoing closer. If they saw him speaking to an alien child, they would ask questions he could not answer. Why are you here?" the human asked, his voice low. The child looked at the ground, his eyes filled with tears. "They came to our home. Soldiers. There was fire. My mother told me to run. I ran. I hid. But when I came back, she was gone. Everyone was gone." The human felt something deep inside him move. He remembered another night long ago on another world. He remembered fire, screaming, and the day he lost his own family. The memory stung, but he pushed it back. He could not show weakness. "You should not be here," the human said. His voice was hard, but his eyes betrayed him. He wanted to push the child away, but he could not. The child stepped forward, clutching the human's arm with tiny fingers. "Please, just one night. I will not make noise. I will not cause trouble. Please." The human looked down at the child's face. It was dirty, streaked with tears. But the eyes were full of fear and hope at the same time. For a long moment, the human said nothing. He felt torn. He was a soldier. His orders were clear: humans and aliens were not to mix. The war was still fresh and trust was thin. Helping this child could bring danger to himself, maybe even death. And yet, he could not ignore the words. The silence was broken by the sound of footsteps. A patrol of human soldiers marched past the street. Their voices were loud, joking, unaware of what was happening only a few steps away. The human froze, holding the child close to the wall until the soldiers passed. The child pressed against him, hiding in his shadow. The patrol moved on. The street was quiet again. The human let out a slow breath. He looked down at the child. Something had already changed inside him. "Come," he whispered finally. "Just for tonight." The child's eyes widened. Relief washed over his face. He nodded quickly, afraid the human might change his mind. The human opened the door wider and guided the child inside. The room was simple: a metal table, a single bed, a shelf with a few objects from Earth. It was not much, but to the child it felt like safety. The child sat down slowly, his small hands still shaking. He looked around, then back at the human. "Thank you," he whispered. The human closed the door and leaned against it. His mind raced. What had he just done? One small decision, but it could change everything. He studied the child. Alone, frightened, yet still alive. The human knew the world outside would not forgive this act of kindness, but in that moment he didn't care. The child curled up on the bed, whispering softly almost to himself. My mother said, "Humans are dangerous, but you are not dangerous. You are different." The human turned away, his jaw tight. He did not answer. He only looked out the window where the city lights flickered like dying stars. Somewhere deep inside, he knew this was not the end. This was only the beginning. The child slept lightly, curled on the edge of the bed. His breathing was soft, but even in sleep his hands trembled. The human sat in the chair across the room, watching in silence. He had not slept. He could not. His mind was full of questions. Who was this child really? Why had fate brought him to this door? And what would happen if someone discovered him here? The city outside was restless. Distant engines hummed in the sky, drones patrolled the rooftops, and the echo of boots on metal. Ground never stopped. Humanity had arrived here as conquerors, but peace was still fragile. The war had ended only months ago. The alien people, small, fragile-looking compared to humans, were no longer soldiers. They were survivors. Their world was broken, their families shattered, their streets burned. And yet, resentment lived in every corner. The human looked at the child again. He was so small, so weak, and yet he had survived when many adults had not. That meant something. That meant strength. Morning came slowly. A pale sun rose through red clouds, painting the city in fire-like light. The child opened his eyes and sat up, confused at first, then remembering where he was. His face hardened with the memory of last night. The human spoke first. "You are safe here, for now." The child nodded, but his eyes wandered to the window, to the city outside. His voice was quiet. "Safe is not real anymore. Safe is gone since the soldiers came." The human frowned. "You mean our soldiers?" The child looked at him, his silver eyes filled with both fear and anger. "They came in the night. We did nothing. We had no weapons. Still, they burned our homes. My mother begged them. They laughed. They left fire behind." The human said nothing. His chest tightened. He had heard reports of raids, but hearing it from a child's mouth made it real, sharp, undeniable. He wanted to say not all humans were the same. He wanted to say some soldiers had no choice, but the words felt empty. Instead, he asked, "Do you have a name?" The child hesitated, then whispered, "Kyle." The human repeated it slowly. "Kyle." The name felt strange but solid. "I am Elias." For a moment, silence stretched between them, broken only by the hum of the city. Two enemies, sitting in one room, speaking names as if that alone could change fate. Kale looked down. "Mother told me. Humans have no hearts. Only machines inside." He touched his small chest with trembling fingers. "But maybe she was wrong. Maybe you are not like the others." Elias leaned forward. His face was hard, but his voice was steady. "Your mother was not wrong to warn you. Humans can be cruel, but hearts, we still have them. We just learned to bury them in war." Kyle's eyes softened. "Then why did you help me? You could have closed the door. You could have left me in the street." Elias didn't answer right away. Memories pushed into his mind. His sister's cry, his home destroyed. The day he swore never to let another child suffer if he could stop it. He looked at Kale and finally said, "Because once I was you." Kale blinked. He didn't understand everything, but he felt the weight of those words. The morning was broken by a sharp knock at the door. Elias stood quickly, motioning Kale to stay silent. He pressed a finger to his lips, then stepped to the door. Two soldiers waited outside, helmets on, rifles hanging at their sides. One of them spoke with a casual tone. "Elias, patrol reports an alien child escaped last night. They say he might be hiding near this block. You've seen anything?" Elias's throat went dry, but his face stayed calm. "No, nothing." The soldier narrowed his eyes, then shrugged. "If you see one, don't get soft. Orders are clear. We're not here to raise their brats. We're here to make sure they don't rise again." They moved on, boots echoing down the hallway. Elias closed the door quietly and turned back. Kyle was standing, shaking, his eyes wide with fear. "They are looking for me," he whispered. Elias nodded grimly. "Yes. And if they find you here, both of us are finished." Kale's hands balled into fists. "Then I should go. I will run again." Elias walked over and placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "No. If you run, they will catch you, and they will not be kind." The child looked up at him, tears burning his eyes. "Then what do I do?" Elias hesitated, but his decision had already been made last night. He had let the boy in. He had crossed the line. There was no turning back. "You stay hidden. I will protect you, whatever happens." Kyle stared at him, trying to read the truth in his face. Slowly, his trembling eased. For the first time since his mother's death, he felt a flicker of hope. The human soldier and the alien child sat in silence as the city groaned outside. Both knew the world was broken, torn apart by war and fear. But in that small room, a fragile bond had begun, one that could change everything. Elias leaned back in his chair, whispering to himself, not sure if he was speaking to the boy or to the ghosts of his past. "This world is broken, but maybe we can fix one piece of it." And outside, the patrols searched, unaware that the spark of something dangerous, something human, was already alive behind the closed door. The hours after the soldiers left felt heavier than the night itself. Elias sat still in his chair, his hands pressed together, his mind racing. Kyle remained on the bed, silent, watching him with wide silver eyes. Every beat of silence carried the same question: what now? Elias was a soldier. His orders were clear. Aliens were to be monitored, controlled, and never trusted. Any human found harboring one would be punished as a traitor. He had seen what happened to those who broke the rules. It wasn't quick. It wasn't merciful. But when he looked at Kale, he did not see an enemy. He saw a child who had lost everything. And deep inside, he saw himself. The boy broke the silence first. "Why do your people hate us so much?" Elias looked up slowly. "Not all humans hate you." Kale's small hands gripped the blanket. "Then why did they kill my mother?" The question struck Elias like a blade he could not answer. He wanted to say because war changes people, because soldiers lose their hearts, because orders matter more than lives. But those were excuses, not truth. His jaw tightened. Some humans forget what it means to be human. Kyle tilted his head, his voice shaking. "And you, did you forget?" The words cut deep. Elias looked away. His chest ached with memories he had buried long ago. The faces of his family, the ruins of his home, the oath he made when he joined the army. He had promised to protect, not destroy. And yet, here he was, part of an occupation that turned children into orphans. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, eyes locked on the floor. "I don't know who I am anymore." Outside, voices echoed faintly. Soldiers were still searching the nearby streets. Elias stood, moving toward the window. From the shadows, he saw patrols scanning doorways, drones hovering above alleys. The hunt was not over. Kale's voice was almost a whisper. "They will find me, won't they?" Elias turned back. "Not if I don't let them." The child blinked. "You would fight them for me?" Elias's mouth went dry. Fight his own kind, defy his orders? The thought burned inside him. If he chose this path, there would be no return, no protection, no forgiveness. He would be branded a traitor, hunted, destroyed. But then he saw Kale's face, young, fragile, yet filled with a desperate hope. It reminded him of the promise he had made to himself years ago. Never again. Never let another child suffer what I suffered. His heart spoke before his mind could stop it. "Yes, for you." Kale's eyes widened. For a moment, the fear in them softened. He leaned forward. "Why?" Elias crouched so they were eye level. His voice was low but steady. Because once I lost everything, and no one came for me. No one said I could stay. No one gave me a home. I won't let that happen to you." The boy swallowed hard. His lips trembled, but a small spark of trust began to glow in his eyes. The knock came suddenly. Hard. Sharp. Elias's blood froze. He pressed a finger to his lips, motioning Cale to stay silent. He opened the door slightly. Another soldier stood there, his helmet visor reflecting the light. His tone was casual, but his words were sharp. "Elias, command wants tighter checks. They say someone in this block is hiding the alien brat. You know anything?" Elias forced his face to stay calm. "No. Nothing." The soldier leaned closer, scanning Elias's eyes. "If you see him, don't play hero. We're not here to babysit. We're here to finish what the war started." He stepped back, gave a short nod, and left. Elias closed the door slowly, his pulse hammering in his ears. He turned, and there was Kyle, standing, trembling, looking at him with both fear and faith. "You lied for me," Kyle whispered. Elias nodded. "Yes, and I'll keep lying, as long as it keeps you safe." The decision was made. No more hesitation. Elias walked to his locker, pulling out rations and a blanket. He handed them to the boy. "Eat. Rest. From this moment, you stay with me, no matter what." Kyle stared at him, stunned. "But your people will hate you. They will hurt you." Elias met his gaze firmly. "Then let them. I don't care anymore." The boy clutched the blanket to his chest, his voice breaking. "Why? Would you risk everything for me?" Elias placed a hand gently on his shoulder. His voice was rough, but full of something deeper than orders, deeper than fear. "Because you are not just an alien child. You are someone's son. And now you are under my protection. Whatever happens, you can stay." The words carried a weight that shook the air itself. For the first time, Cale believed he was not alone. For the first time, Elias believed he had found something worth breaking every rule for. Night returned, and the city burned with shadows. But in that small room, a fragile alliance had been born. One that defied war, rules, and fear. Elias sat by the window, rifle across his knees, watching the streets. Kyle slept again, curled under the blanket, his breathing steady. Elias whispered to the empty room, his voice heavy with both fear and hope. "They will come for us, but I have made my choice, and I will not turn back." The human decision had been made, and it would change everything. The city outside never truly slept. Drones hummed like insects in the air, searchlights swept across rooftops, and the sound of armored boots echoed endlessly in the streets. Every night was a reminder that Cale did not belong outside. Inside, Elias's quarters, however, a fragile silence lived. Kyle sat at the metal table, staring at the strange food Elias had placed before him. It was human rations, sealed in gray packets, tasteless but filling. Cale poked at it with suspicion before finally tasting a bite. His nose wrinkled. Elias watched, arms folded. "Not the best food," he said quietly. "But it will keep you alive." Cale swallowed hard and gave a small nod. Hunger won over taste. For a while, neither spoke. The room felt too small for the weight they carried. Elias finally broke the silence. "You'll need to stay hidden. No noise, no wandering. If anyone finds you here, it's over for both of us." Kyle looked up, silver eyes wide. "You will get punished too?" Elias's jaw tightened. Worse than punished. The boy lowered his gaze. He held the ration packet tightly in his hands, as if it might vanish. "Then maybe I should leave." Elias leaned forward, his voice sharp. "No. If you go out there, they will find you. You won't survive a day." Kyle's lip trembled. He whispered, "Then I am a burden." Elias stared at him. The words echoed in his chest like a wound reopened. A burden. That was what his own commanders had once called him when he hesitated in battle, when he dared to show mercy. He clenched his fists. "You are not a burden," he said firmly. "You are alive. That matters." Later that night, Kale wandered to the shelf by the wall. His small fingers brushed over the objects resting there. A metal badge, a cracked photograph, a smooth stone. "What are these?" he asked softly. Elias stood behind him, his shadow falling across the shelf. His voice was quieter now, almost human instead of soldier. "Memories, the photo, that was my family before the war." Kale tilted his head, studying the faded picture of smiling faces. "They look happy." They were. Elias's voice cracked for a moment. He swallowed hard. "But war took them from me, just like it took your mother." Kale's hand lingered on the stone. "And this?" Elias almost smiled. "A piece of earth. My sister gave it to me before I left. She said, 'Carry this, so you never forget home.'" Kale turned the stone in his hand. "Do you miss it?" "Every day," Elias admitted. The boy placed the stone back gently, then whispered, "I think you understand. You lost family too. That is why you helped me." Elias did not answer, but Kale's words were true. More true than Elias wished to admit. The next morning, the tension in the city grew sharper. Rumors spread of rebel movements, whispers of alien survivors planning something. Soldiers were more aggressive in their searches. Elias returned from patrol, sweat on his brow, anger in his heart. He slammed the door shut and leaned against it, exhaling heavily. Kale peeked from the corner, eyes filled with worry. "They almost found you?" "Not me," Elias muttered, pulling off his helmet. "Others. They are looking harder now. For any alien, any sign of rebellion. The walls are closing in." Kale's small hands clenched. "All because of me. If they find me here..." Elias cut him off sharply. "Stop. This isn't only about you. This is about all of them, every child, every family. You just reminded me what we're fighting for." The boy tilted his head. "Fighting? But you are a soldier for them, for the humans." Elias's eyes darkened. "Maybe not for long." That night, Elias built a small hiding place for Kale. Behind a loose panel in the wall, he cleared out storage and set a thin blanket on the floor. "This is your shelter," he told Kyle. "If anyone knocks, if anyone comes inside, you hide here. Don't make a sound, no matter what happens." Kyle stepped inside, crouching low. His silver eyes reflected fear, but also trust. "You will protect me?" Elias knelt down, looking him in the eye. His voice was steady. "With my life." The child swallowed, then whispered, "My mother said humans cannot be trusted, but she never met you." The words hit Elias harder than any bullet. He placed a hand gently on Kale's head. For the first time in years, he felt something fragile, something almost forgotten. Hope. The nights passed slowly. Kyle learned to stay quiet, to slip into the secret shelter when danger came. Elias brought him food, water, and even an old book with faded pictures. The boy traced the drawings of forests, oceans, and animals he had never seen. One evening, Kyle looked up at Elias and asked, "Do you think one day humans and my people can live together?" Elias hesitated. He wanted to lie, to comfort the child, but instead, he spoke the truth. "I don't know. But if it ever happens, it will start small, with people like you and me." Kyle smiled, faintly, clutching the book to his chest. "Then maybe we already started it." But the peace could not last. On the fourth night, the pounding of boots stopped right outside Elias's door. Voices barked orders, metal scraped against metal. A soldier shouted, "Search every room, the alien brat is close." Elias froze. Kale's eyes went wide. Without a word, Elias shoved him into the hidden shelter and closed the panel. He pressed, his back against the wall, gripping his rifle. The door creaked open. 3 soldiers stepped inside. Elias forced himself to breathe steadily, his voice calm. "What's the meaning of this?" The leader smirked. "Orders. A rat's hiding in this block. We'll find it even if we have to tear down walls." Kyle, hidden in the darkness behind the panel, covered his mouth with both hands. His heart raced so loudly he was sure they would hear it. Elias tightened his grip on the rifle, sweat dripping down his neck. He had promised to protect the boy, and now that promise was about to be tested. The soldiers entered like wolves sniffing for prey. Their boots clanged against the metal floor as they spread out through the small quarters. One checked the bed, another searched the table and shelves, while the leader stood tall, his visor gleaming in the dim light. Elias kept his expression calm, though his pulse hammered in his ears. His hand rested near his rifle, but he did not lift it. Not yet. If he acted too soon, Cale would be lost. If he acted too late, Cale would still be lost. The leader gave a sharp order. "Check the walls. Aliens are clever. They crawl into cracks like vermin." Elias's blood ran cold. Behind one of those walls, Cale crouched in darkness, silent, holding his breath. Elias prayed the boy remembered his words. "Don't move. Don't make a sound." One soldier knocked on the panels with a fist, moving closer to the hidden shelter. Each strike echoed like thunder inside Elias's skull. His jaw clenched. His heart screamed at him to act, but his training held him still. Finally, the soldier shook his head. "Nothing here." The leader frowned but waved them off. "Fine. Move to the next room." Just like that, the wolves were gone. The door slammed shut, leaving behind silence so heavy it pressed on Elias's chest. He exhaled slowly, then hurried to the wall panel. He slid it open, and Kyle stumbled out, gasping for air, his small body trembling. "They were going to find me," Cale whispered, voice shaking. Elias pulled him close, steadying him with firm hands. "But they didn't. You're safe. For now." Cale clung to him, his face pressed against Elias's chest. For the first time, Elias allowed himself to wrap an arm around the boy. For the first time, he admitted the truth to himself. This child was no longer just a stranger. He was something Elias could not lose. The next day, the city was louder than before. Patrols doubled, drones hovered lower, checkpoints were everywhere. Rumors whispered through the barracks, rumors of rebellion. Some said surviving aliens were gathering weapons. Others claimed a leader had risen among them. For Elias, the truth didn't matter. The result was the same. Every human soldier was on edge, and every alien life was in greater danger. When he returned to his quarters, he found Kyle sitting at the table, staring out the window at the burning skyline. The boy's voice was low, almost hollow. "They will never stop, will they?" Elias set down his gear and sat across from him. "No. Not until they believe every alien is broken. Or gone." Cale's small fists clenched. "Then maybe I should not hide. Maybe I should fight." The words startled Elias. He leaned forward sharply. "No, you are a child. You should not even know the word fight." "But I do know it," Cale said, his voice rising, "because fighting is all I see. My people fight to survive. Your people fight to destroy. And now I am stuck between both." Boy's anger cut deeper than any soldier's blade. Elias wanted to argue, but he couldn't. The child was right. He reached across the table, resting his hand gently over Cale's small fists. "Listen to me. You have already fought enough. Surviving is a kind of fight too. And right now, survival is the greatest victory you can win." Cale's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "And you? Will you keep fighting for me?" Elias held his gaze. "Yes, until my last breath." That night, the danger grew sharper. Elias heard whispers among his fellow soldiers, his name mentioned, in hushed tones. One had noticed how he avoided searches, how he lingered in places longer than others. Another claimed his loyalty was slipping. Suspicion had begun. Elias returned to his quarters with a heavy heart. Cale saw it at once. Something happened. They are watching me now, Elias admitted. If I make one mistake, if I give them one reason, they will search this place again, and next time, they will not leave empty-handed. Kale looked down, fear twisting his face. Then it is my fault. You will lose everything because of me. Elias knelt in front of him, his voice fierce. No, you are not my weakness, you are my reason. Do you understand? You give me something worth standing for. The boy's tears finally fell. He whispered, I don't want you to die because of me. Elias pulled him into an embrace, strong and steady. Then live and make my choice mean something. The following evening, danger arrived again. Soldiers banged on doors across the block, dragging out aliens hidden by desperate families. Their cries echoed through the streets, carried on the cold night air. Kale pressed himself against Elias, shaking. They are coming closer. Elias held his rifle jaw tight. Then let them come. Kale stared at him with wide eyes. You will fight them? Elias nodded once. If they cross this door, yes, I will fight, because protecting you is the only choice left to me. Kale's voice cracked. Why me? Out of all the children, why me? Elias looked at him with something deeper than duty, deeper than pity. His words were quiet but unshakable. Because you knocked on my door, because fate chose you, and because I cannot turn away. That night, as the city burned brighter with anger, Elias sat at the window, rifle across his lap. Kyle lay curled on the bed, whispering to himself as he drifted into uneasy sleep. Please don't leave me. Please don't leave. Elias kept his eyes on the streets, watching the patrols, listening to the screams of captured families. His heart was heavy, but his resolve was iron. The threat was growing. The net was closing. But Elias had made his choice long ago. If the world wanted to break them, it would have to break him first. The night dragged on like an endless shadow. Elias sat by the window, rifle across his knees, watching the searchlights sweep through the city. Kyle stirred restlessly on the bed, murmuring in his sleep, his small body twisting under the blanket. When the boy awoke, his eyes were filled with fear. I dreamed they found me, he whispered. I dreamed they dragged you away and I couldn't stop them. Elias turned, his face steady but his voice low. It was only a dream. Kyle shook his head, gripping the edge of the blanket tightly. No, it will happen. I don't want you to die because of me. Elias leaned forward, his eyes sharp but gentle. Listen to me, Kyle. Death is not what I fear. What I fear is failing to protect you. The boy's lip trembled. Then maybe I should go. If I leave, they will stop watching you. You will be safe. The words pierced Elias deeper than any bullet. He slammed the rifle down on the table, startling the boy. His voice was fierce, almost breaking. No, you are not leaving. Do you understand? Not now. Not ever. Kyle froze, silver eyes wide. He had never seen the human's anger before, not like this, but there was no cruelty in it, only desperation. Elias took a long breath, steadying himself. He lowered his voice, softer now, but each word carried iron. You think you are a burden? You think letting go will save me? But listen, saving me is not your job. You are a child. Your job is to live. And if keeping you alive costs me everything, then that is my choice, not yours. Kyle blinked, tears rolling silently down his cheeks. Why? Why do you care so much? Elias knelt before him, eyes level with his. Because once, I had no one. I was small, weak, forgotten, and no one opened their door for me. No one said I could stay, no one gave me a home, I swore. If fate ever gave me the chance, I would not make the same mistake. You knocked on my door, Kale, and that was enough. The boy trembled, struggling to find words. Finally, he whispered, So, I can stay? Elias held his gaze, steady and unshakable. His voice carried a promise that reached beyond war, beyond rules, beyond fear. You can stay. Not for one night. Not for a week. Forever. Kyle's eyes widened. He stared at Elias as if trying to understand a language he had never heard. Forever? Yes, Elias said firmly. Forever. As long as I breathe, you will never be alone again. The silence that followed was heavy with meaning. The hum of the city faded. The noise of patrols felt distant. In that small room, something larger than war was born, something no soldier, no command, no order could erase. Kyle's tears turned into quiet sobs. He threw his arms around Elias's neck, holding on as if he might disappear. Elias wrapped his arms around the boy, steady and protective. For the first time, both of them felt the weight of loneliness lift, but forever came with a price. The next morning, Elias's commanding officer visited the block. Whispers had reached the higher ranks. Rumors that one soldier was too soft, too secretive. The officer's eyes were sharp, his tone like a blade. Elias, he said, your loyalty is under question. If you are hiding something, you'd better confess now. Elias stood stiff, his jaw locked. I have nothing to confess, sir. The officer studied him for a long moment, then leaned closer. Be careful. The walls have ears, and the punishment for traitors. You know it well. When he left, Elias returned to the room, his face grim. Cale looked at him anxiously. They know? Not yet, Elias said. But soon. The boy's voice cracked. Then it's too dangerous. You should let me go before they find out. Elias slammed his fist against the wall, making the boy flinch. Stop saying that. Do you not understand? You are not leaving. I told you, you stay forever. Cale trembled but nodded, swallowing his fear. He had never seen such fire in Elias's eyes. That night, Cale whispered softly from the bed, Forever means you are my family now. Elias looked at him, the rifle still across his knees. His voice was rough but certain. Yes, family is not blood. It is choice, and I have chosen you. Kyle smiled faintly through his tears. Then I choose you too. The human soldier and the alien child sat in silence, bound not by orders but by something stronger. Outside, the city cracked under the weight of war. Inside, two broken souls found something unbreakable, but forever would not come easily. Later that night, the sound of boots filled the hallway again. A soldier's voice barked orders outside the door. Search this room next. Tear it apart. If you must. Cale's heart pounded. He looked at Elias in panic. Elias placed a steady hand on the boy's shoulder. His eyes were calm, his voice firm. Hide. Now. And remember what I said. You stay forever, no matter what happens to me. Kyle's breath caught. He didn't want to move. He didn't want to leave Elias's side. But Elias guided him firmly into the hidden panel, closing it with finality. As the door to the quarters slammed open, Elias stood tall, rifle in hand, his heart steady. He had made his choice. There would be no turning back. Forever had begun. The door crashed open and 3 soldiers stormed inside. Their rifles glinted under the pale light, their visors reflecting the room like cold mirrors. Elias stood tall in the center, his own rifle resting against his chest, steady hands ready. His face was calm, but his heart pounded like thunder. Behind the wall panel, Kyle crouched in silence, pressing both hands over his mouth. The leader of the squad sneered. Elias, orders say this block hides an alien brat, and rumor says you're the one protecting him. Elias kept his voice firm. Rumors are cheap. You see any alien here? The soldiers spread out, searching the shelves, kicking the table. Aside. One marched straight to the wall near Cale's hiding place. He raised his rifle and tapped the metal with the barrel. The sound rang hollow. Elias's finger twitched on his weapon. The soldier smirked. Hollow walls. Always good places to hide vermin. He raised his rifle, preparing to smash the panel open. Enough, Elias barked. His voice cut through the room like a blade. The soldiers froze for a moment. Elias stepped forward, rifle raised. This is my room. You will not destroy it. The leader tilted his head. What's wrong, Elias? Nervous? Maybe because you're hiding something? The air grew sharp, heavy. Kyle pressed deeper into the shadows, tears streaming down his cheeks. Every second felt like the last. Elias's voice was low, calm, but deadly serious. You won't find anything here, and if you keep pushing, you'll regret it. The soldiers exchanged glances. The leader laughed coldly. Careful, Elias. You sound like a man who's forgotten which side he's on. For a long, tense moment, no one moved. Then the leader motioned with his hand. Leave it, for now. But if we catch you lying, traitors don't get graves. They filed out, slamming the door behind them. Their footsteps faded down the hall. Elias lowered his rifle slowly, breathing hard. He walked to the wall and opened the hidden panel. Kyle tumbled out, his whole body shaking. They knew, Kyle whispered. They almost found me. Elias knelt, gripping the boy's shoulders. His voice was steady even as his chest still pounded. But they didn't. And as long as I live, they won't. Kyle looked at him, eyes wet with fear. What if they come again? What if they don't leave next time? Elias held his gaze. Then I will fight, and I will not stop, because I meant what I said. You stay forever. Days passed, but the tension only grew. The army tightened its grip on the city. Curfews, raids, whispers of executions. Soldiers spoke more openly of rebels and traitors. Elias knew his time was running short. He was already marked. It was only a matter of days before they returned to finish their search, but Kale was changing. The boy no longer trembled every time a drone passed. He asked questions, studied Elias's books, traced the photos with curious fingers. One night he even smiled faintly while holding the stone from Earth. My mother said, humans were only destroyers, he whispered. But you are building something, you are building us. Elias's throat tightened. He had no words, so he only placed a hand gently on the boy's head. The breaking point came one evening when flames rose across the district. Rebels had struck a supply convoy. In response, soldiers swept the streets, dragging families into the open, demanding names. From the window, Kale and Elias watched the chaos unfold. Screams echoed through the night. They will come here, Kyle said softly. Yes, Elias replied. And when they do, we will not hide anymore. Kyle turned to him, fear in his eyes. What do you mean? Elias knelt, steady and unflinching. I told you forever. That means I will stand with you even if the whole world stands against us. Kale's voice cracked. But forever. Forever sounds like it will end with your death. Elias shook his head. Forever is not about death. It is about choice. I choose you, Kale, and you choose me. That is family. That is something no war can destroy. The pounding came again. Harder this time, louder. Voices shouted outside. Open up, Elias. This is your last warning. Kale clutched Elias's hand. His eyes were wide, but his voice was steady now. We face them together? Elias squeezed his hand firmly. Together. He opened the hidden panel, not to hide Kale, but to let him stand free. The boy stepped out, trembling, but his chin lifted with courage. Elias picked up his rifle and looked at the child beside him. In that moment, they were not soldier and alien. They were not enemy and victim. They were family. The door began to crack under the force of boots. Kale whispered, They will never understand. Elias answered, They don't need to. We understand. The door burst open. Soldiers poured in. Searchlights blinded the room. But Elias did not back down. He stood tall, rifle raised, the boy at his side. His voice thundered through the chaos. You will not take him. He is mine. He stays forever. For one breathless second, time seemed to stop. Soldier, child, enemy, family. All labels burned away, leaving only truth. Outside, the city screamed, with fire and war. Inside, in that small room, a new kind of battle had begun. Not for power, not for territory, but for something greater. For the right to choose love over hate. For the right to build family where none should exist. For the right to say against all the rules of war he stays forever.